Hello, guys. We are delighted to be here on the 6th EPPI to talk about the contributions of positive psychology into the education field. My name is Renata. I work at EFPB, and this is Líbia. She's my friend, and she works at EFPB as well.
Hello, everyone. So we hope you enjoy our presentation. In just a few minutes, a few moments, I'm going to present these slides, okay? Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so the title of our presentation today is Applying the Character Strengths into the English Language Teaching, working on how to promote students' well-being.
So, for starters, I would like to talk about the difference between positive psychology and traditional psychology. So, my question for us first is why positive? According to Martin Seligman, positive psychology, or traditional psychology actually, was focused on human misery and what to do to fix it. Yeah, so traditional psychology was focused on misery, on conflicts, and sufferings, and totally neglecting uh, positive emotions, good relationships, meaning in life. So for Martin Seligman, who is the father of positive psychology, he says that positive psychology um, is the study of not of what cripples life, but of what enables a good life. Yes. So he poses the questions like, can you be happier? Can you have more meaning in life? Are there interventions that produce more well-being? And the answer is yes. For example, working with the character strengths, by working with them, we are working at our best. We feel happy. We feel energized because they are our most powerful qualities. They are our positive characteristics. So by working with them, we could experience and enhance the five elements that nurture the well-being according to Solomon. So they are positive emotions, engagement, positive relationships, meaning, and accomplishments. And ultimately, the aim of positive psychology, which is human flourishing. The second thing that I would like to address is the relationship actually between positive psychology and education. I must tell you that when we apply positive psychology into the education field, we may call it positive education. And what does positive education stand for? For this presentation, we are focusing on the promotion of the students' well-being, but I must tell you that positive education goes beyond that because it has to do with the students, the teachers' well-being, the staff, and the school as a whole. So now we're going to address the issue of the character strengths themselves.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about character strengths, right? What are the character strengths? So, according to Seligman and Patterson, they are the positive parts of your personality that impact how you think, feel, and behave. Scientists have identified 24 character strengths that you have the capacity to express. But how did this happen? So the study of strengths started in the early 2000s when more than 50 scientists gathered to study character in over 200 cultures around the world. The result was the VIA classification of character strengths and virtues, which is and a classification of positive traits in human beings. So, and how can understanding character strengths change your life? How can having the conscious that we have these strengths can change our lives for better, for example? When you know your best character traits, you can improve your life and prosper. And how can the character strengths nurture the well-being? Research shows that using your character strengths can help you improve your relationships, enhance health and overall well-being, deal with and overcome problems. So let's think about these improvements considering the English learning process, okay? As you can see here, we have the 24 character strengths on our slides. And we're going to talk a little bit about them. So as I said before, we all have the 24 strengths. We just have to observe that after doing the VIA character strengths test, we will know what the first 5 are. These are what the authors call our signature strengths. They are called this way because they are our strongest features. We consider that understanding and having the ability to use these strengths consciously in our everyday life is particularly important because we can connect our positive characteristics with our interest in learning the English language. So if people are attracted by foreign languages, they can have a better comprehension of the language when they are aware of the possibility to use their most powerful character strengths for their development in the language. They can even get the feeling that studying should be a pleasure, not a suffering. And we as teachers can have an important role in our students' progress and lives. As Chris Wersch points out, the power of starting with strengths and how this powerful strategy can make you connect, engage, and bring out the best in people is a gentle shift in mindset. If you work hard to be good at those areas of strengths, you get more points, higher percentages, and better grades. We can start trying to make our students observe in themselves and develop strengths like courage, care, curiosity, creativity, wisdom, leadership, perspective, love of learning, just to say some. Having in mind the idea of experiencing these study moments with motivation and enthusiasm to reach the goals, that is, the success in the communication of the foreign language, can make the students go further in the English studying process. That's the main reason we are here today. Studying the positive psychology, and most specifically, as Renata has just pointed out, the positive education is an attempt for us as teachers to improve our students' learning. We consider that people's well-being is an important tool, not only for the learning of a language, but most importantly, their lives. This is the main reason I have started this school year showing the students the 24 character strengths and asking them to analyze the order of the strengths according to their personality, as you can see in our first example, in our activity number 1. So, this exercise was developed for an English 1 group at the IFPB. The intention was to work with the simple present tense and present the 24 character strengths. As you can see, I show them an explicative picture of the 24 strengths. At first, I asked them to answer the following questions. What character strengths above do you consider the most important? Which one of them are stronger for you? Which one of them are weaker for you? How do you use them? How can you make the weakest character strengths stronger? After that, they will discuss in groups of 4 or 5 people answering these questions. To finish, we would discuss the ideas in the big group. It was a great satisfaction to see my students so interested and involved in the activity. To notice that learning about that was making sense for them. And in consequence, we would study about the simple present tense. As you can see, in this specific activity, it is also possible to study comparatives and superlatives in English. So I have showed you 2 possibilities, but there are many others. We as English teachers just have to use our creativity and make use of the strengths to organize the ideas and the learning process. From now on, all the activities that are going to be exposed come from this site, this website, the Via Character. And I also talked to you in the beginning about the Via Character test. What is that? So on this site, there is a test which you can have the opportunity to answer. You answer the questions, and as a result, you are going to have the correct order of the 24 strengths according to your personality. So you are going to notice what are your signature strengths, for example, as I have just said before. Okay, so activity number 2 talks about 3 good things. So how can we do it? In the first moment, we are going to ask the students to reflect. They are going to think back on today and reflect on the good things that occurred. On a second moment, we are going to ask them to record. So they can write down 3 things that went well and why they went well. At this point, they can, for example, have a diary, because it is important to have a continuous process of writing these gratitude facts. So they can have a diary, they can have a WhatsApp group only with only the student by himself, or any other possibility just to record his gratitude actions during that day. And the last point is to review. So they can use the VIA classification and look for the strengths that they used. This is scientifically tested that doing this kind of exercise can make us feel better, and because they remind us of the good things that we have reached around the day, and they can make our well-being improve day by day. So, activity number 3, Renata is going to talk to you about that.
So in this activity, guys, we are just discussing, working with the strength of hope. On the first step, we could just ask the students about hope with a classmate. They can share the examples of when they noticed themselves using this strength last week. So for this first step, we could just be presenting or reviewing, for example, simple past. For the second step, we could just ask the students, what does hope sound like? So the students could go on a listening expedition to try to find the best songs that inspire hope, and they could just share their playlist with the students afterwards. For the third step, we could just ask the students, what does hope smell feel like to interview? In this step, the students could think of what scents and textures hope could be associated with. Because, for example, hope can be the smell of baking cakes or cooks maybe prepared by your grandmother, your mother. So uh, the students will be recalling these memories, these emotional experiences, for example. On the fourth step, students can think about the ideas and feelings that came up when they shared their thoughts about hope with each other. As a production, they can write a poem or draw a picture to better describe the ideas and share with the class. They could hang up their finished products so they can be reminded of their hope, strength whenever they need it. So by doing this activity, we are letting the students aware of this strength in their lives. In the fourth activity, uh, what is called My Top Strengths poster. We could just ask the students to use their creativity to make a poster advertising their top signature strengths. In my version, I will do this activity in a first class when the students they don't know each other, but describing their top character strengths, for example, in a poster, would be a way for the other students to get to know each other, to get to know one another, the whole class, better. For example, have the first poster here. He says, "My name is David, and one of my top strengths is judgment. I can help you solve problems and think things through." We could also be working with present simple, for example, verb to be. Okay, so we could just use our creativity in order to make as many versions of this activity we could or we can. And to finish, we would like to call out your attention to a strengths-based education. I may say that if you still feel reluctant somehow by using the character strengths at your classes with the whole class, if you still feel uncomfortable, we could just follow Chris Ridge tips when he says that the first tip he says start with one student. The second, he says, connect with this student through strengths, because by doing so, you will find a connection with this student, and therefore this student can express himself, herself better, and feel more comfortable with you, with your classes, for example. And the third tip, he says, create the conditions to bring out the strengths, because we as teachers, we are the ones who are going to prepare, how can I say, the space, prepare the learning process in which the students may feel comfortable, safe, and they can bring out these strengths, isn't it, Anna?
Yeah, that's it, Renata. So, with this presentation, we hope we have made you feel interested in studying, going through the idea of the character strengths, because we think that it is a real and a great possibility to improve our English classes and to make our students learn English, feeling that it makes sense for them. You see? So we have showed some possibilities, but if you visit the site, you are going to find any others. And you can just use each one of them according to your goals. So we hope you have liked it. And we would like to say thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.